Hello everyone, the Green Scorpion here, and you guys had better be ready for some smooth tunes. I have stressed in the past that music is a huge part of video games and is used to establish atmosphere and mood depending on the theme of the game. And if the current mood of the game is suddenly becoming mellow, relaxing, or just aiming to make you feel good, jazz is usually a good direction to take. One of the most difficult genres of music to define, jazz originated in the late 19th century and quickly became a popular sensation in the early 20th century. Its roots can be traced back to the African American and European American communities, and as it spread around the world, it has taken on a plethora of subgenres, be it the uplifting saxophones of ragtime, the scatting voices of bebop, or the booming fanfares of the big bands. While jazz has proven to be a versatile style of music, certain musical tropes have surfaced to give the style a niche all its own, including polyrhythms, syncopation, the swung notes, and the classic improvisational solo. Oftentimes when a jazz theme is present in a video game, gamers take immediate notice due to the uniqueness and showmanship that the theme delivers, and it becomes more prominent if it fits the current mood of the game. The 10 jazz themes I'm about to present now embody this premise, while also giving us musical quality that even Louis Armstrong would be proud of. Now the same rules apply here for any music countdown. Only one jazz theme per franchise, but the themes can come from games I haven't played yet. As long as I've heard it, it's fair game. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the top 10 video game jazz themes. Anyone who is a veteran Street Fighter player will recognize this melody. Zangief's theme has been around since his debut in Street Fighter II, but then we come to Super Street Fighter IV with the theme of Zangief, where it gets a serious jazz treatment. The bass line is outfitted with a nicely paced percussion and a really well executed electric guitar. The dynamics stay pretty consistent throughout the piece, and it all feels really sweet. I will say that I didn't really expect a song like this to represent Zangief, considering he's Russian, though I honestly can't complain. However, the winning factor of this song is that brass ensemble. The trumpets give us some fantastic fanfares that show us just how grand Zangief really is. Then there's that saxophone. Oh my god, that saxophone! This theme pretty much nails what Rhythm Thief is all about. The main theme from Rhythm Thief gives us a very well executed composition with a harpsichord, vibraphone, and trumpets taking over the melody. It's also nice how the song starts off with a forte dynamic and then backs off into a piano dynamic to set up the crescendo, which then ends with a fanfare of trumpets to begin the climax of the piece. We are also treated to a multitude of sounds from the background consisting of some high-speed drums, violins, and arguably the fastest bass I've heard in a while. Finally, with this being the main theme of the game, there is something new to be heard for the entire 3.5 minute duration. This theme pretty much is the bread and butter of Rhythm Thief, giving us a taste of what is to come. In that sense, I say they did pretty well. In terms of detail, this song doesn't offer a whole lot. Despite that, however, it still gives us something we just can't stop listening to. By bringing together an electric guitar, an electric bass, drums, trumpets, and a triangle, the factory-level theme from the Blob 2 manages to put together a piece that, dare I say, is quite lovely. Now some of you may say that this is more of a funk theme, and you'd be on the right track. Thanks to the addition of the swung note and the signature jazz instruments, this theme falls under the subgenre of funk jazz. The electric strings take up most of the song, while the trumpets drop in with some well-timed melodies and some wonderful fanfares. As the song progresses, the trumpets become more emphasized and the dynamic slowly gets stronger, going back to a piano dynamic once the trumpets have done their job. Here's the real kicker though. This is only the base of what goes on with this piece. In the actual game, the music will change based on what's happening, to the point where different instruments will take over, such as a pipe organ or a muted trumpet. The bass song itself sounds awesome enough, so to have it be adaptive music is, well, it's quite a treat. Grim Fandango was already a pretty classy game with amazing atmosphere, wonderful storytelling, and arguably one of the most suave characters ever conceived in video games. So, once year 2 kicks in, we see Mr. Calavera work his way into the ownership of a casino, which is where we're treated with this gem of a theme. Casino Calavera embodies much of what makes a good jazz theme. It starts off with a few measures of smooth build-up using some light percussion and a smooth piano and bass. Then once the intro has your attention, the melody kicks in with the classic jazz trope of improvisational instrument solos, bringing in a muted trumpet, a piano, a trombone, and a clarinet. In terms of its purpose, it serves the role of a background theme pretty well as it decorates the air of Manny's new casino. It also fits extremely well given the theming of the casino, and it is given more emphasis thanks to Grim Fandango's role as a point-and-click adventure. I'm not into gambling myself, but if there's a nice jazz band playing at this casino with this theme as their signature, I'll be more than happy to pay a visit, but only to have a drink or two maybe. Pleasure Quarter from Gravity Rush embodies a rather similar role and motif as the previously mentioned Casino Calavera. This theme begins playing when Kat enters Playzone, the entertainment district of Hexville. Befitting the carefree and lively atmosphere of Playzone, this theme gives us an energetic tune beginning with a catchy set of drums and piano, and then following it up by providing a snazzy melody with a muted trumpet and a violin taking over for the most part. It even goes as far as to give us some nice background ambience with a slew of aptly plucked violin strings. The only thing that this theme lacks is a true diversity in its dynamics, but in all honesty that's a nitpick. Deciding between Pleasure Quarter and Casino Calavera was actually very difficult, but I felt that Pleasure Quarter deserved to be higher mainly due to its finer quality. Great melody, excellent choice of instruments, and a great placement within the game brings Pleasure Quarter to the halfway point of this countdown. Anyone who has played Super Mario 64 will immediately recognize this tune, but upon reaching Throwback Galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy 2, this theme gets a seriously jazzy makeover. This theme is certainly much more upbeat than many of the previous mentioned entries on this list, incorporating elements of the funk and big band substyles. The main melody is pieced together with a combination of saxophones and trumpets, while the bass and electric guitars give us a funk-filled bass line. I also really appreciate the use of dynamics in this piece, starting off with a sort of meso forte dynamic before transitioning into fortissimo at the song's climax. The original song that played at Bob-omb Battlefield and Whomp's Fortress back in Super Mario 64 continues to be one of my favorite classic pieces, so to see it remixed into a jazz theme in Galaxy 2 was a very nice throwback. Pun totally intended. When I started making this countdown, I never thought I'd actually find a jazz theme in the Final Fantasy series of all places. Sure enough though, Final Fantasy XIII graces us with the big band sound of Pulse the Chocobo. Anyone who has played Final Fantasy will recognize this melody as a signature theme for the Chocobos. This rendition of the theme gives it the jazz treatment by incorporating pianos, a brass ensemble, and several woodwinds taking over the melody. I also like that it follows the classic jazz trope with the implementation of instrument solos. Several instruments get a chance to show off what it can do, including the trumpet, trombone, and even an oboe, which I found rather unique. There's even a drum solo that is pretty darn impressive. The only thing I can think of that could have been done better is a little more diversity in the dynamics, but that's just me being stingy. I guess I shouldn't harp on the soundtrack too much, considering that I'm not a huge fan of this game in the first place. You know, in all fairness, this entire sequence at the end of Bayonetta made going through that double fake ending totally worth it. It also makes editing this part a hell of a lot easier. So while Bayonetta graces us with her sweet and sexy dance moves, let's see what we got here. Some people may argue with the idea that this is a jazz theme, but by combining the jazz genre with elements of funk, soul, and disco, Let's Dance Boys falls under the subgenre of acid jazz, a style that originated in the 1980s London dance clubs. The song starts off with some awesome beats and a piano riff before the fanfare of brass instruments and the smooth chorus adds more to the musical concoction. From there, it's all about that saxophone melody. By teaming up with a multitude of trumpets and woodwinds, the melody is expertly delivered with not a single repeated segment throughout the entire song. I also have to acknowledge the dynamics. This song just gets more and more intense as it goes on, and that moment when the saxophone and trumpets build up with a crescendo into the beat drop with a key change? Gorgeous! I don't know who thought up to have Bayonetta do a sexy dance number at the end of the game, but I'm certainly not complaining. There was no way I was going to make a jazz-themed countdown without mentioning Skullgirls, and heck, they have an entire character dedicated to this beloved genre.
Now that's just basest.
Oh, hey, Big Band. I thought you went back to the labs. It's been a while.
In some ways, it feels like I never left.
Well, you know how it is. You still don't mind if I talk about your song, right?
Take it slow.
You got it, big guy. Known as Unfinished Business, this song starts off with a smooth saxophone solo delivered by the big man himself.
Let's give a big hand for Big Band.
From there, the song transitions into a faster tempo and brings in a steady drum section and strings, with a duet of an alto saxophone and a tenor saxophone giving us the melody. However, that's not even half of what this song delivers. Objectively speaking, I consider this piece to be the best on this list from a composition standpoint. The dynamics transition very well and give us a multitude of levels to keep up the energy of the piece. We even get a bass saxophone and a pipe organ coming in with some impressive solos and backups.
I admit, that was an enhanced performance.
I also really admire how well this song fits in a fighting game. It manages to enhance the fighting that goes on while still managing to give us a wonderful piece. As great as it is though, it just barely misses the #1 spot.
No offense, ma'am, but I'm top brass here.
Sorry, not the case, man. I'm just telling it like it is. Also, did you just call me a woman?
I know you ain't misbehaving.
Hey, don't go there. You're the one who looks like a dumpster outside of a high school band room.
Clean up your act.
Oh, what? You're gonna do something about it? Wanna go a few rounds?
You can't strong-arm this Armstrong.
Oh yeah? Try me.
We have come to terms. See ya, Space Cowboy.
The hell was I thinking? I'm going to start out by saying that I think the soundtrack from Donkey Kong Country Returns is absolutely amazing, and the level theme from Sunset Shore is smooth jazz at its absolute finest. Much like theme of Zangief, Throwback Galaxy, and Pulse the Chocobo, this theme is a remix version of an already established classic. Fans of the series already know Donkey Kong's signature theme that's been his staple since the very first Donkey Kong Country game. This rendition not only perfectly fits the style of the levels it's showcased in, but it embodies many fantastic jazz-related tropes, and the composition is just fantastic. Starting off with a keyboard and a bass, the song builds up with a nice little intro that also includes strings and, unexpectedly, a harp. That's pretty creative. Then the song begins its crescendo by bringing in a nice piano solo and then building up into Donkey Kong's signature melody. From here, the many jazz-themed instruments take turns switching between the melody and the bass line, including a muted trumpet, a tenor saxophone, a flute, a piano, and even a vibraphone taking cracks at the melody to add a layer of detail. Also, I swear that these solos were improvised. No two solos sound the same, and that's something I can appreciate and is practically par for the course when it comes to the jazz genre. Never did I think the #1 song on this countdown would come from the jungle japes of Donkey Kong Country. But Sunset Shore is the whole package. Excellent composition, great placement within the game, an excellent ensemble of instruments, and a great representation of the genre. That's enough for me to declare Sunset Shore as the #1 greatest jazz theme in video game history. I'm the Green Scorpion, and if you'll excuse me, I've got a nice cold glass of iced tea with my name on it. See you guys next time.
Girl, they got you looking Maple Crest ragged.